And now I'm going to be passing the word to our guest of the day, Mr. Robert Meyer, which is the president of Brafip, the Association for Cooperative Innovation. And he will be presenting to you a little bit of Brafip and also their open call for research, development, and innovation ideas. So, Roberto, you can now be able to share your screen.
Thanks, Thais. I'm sharing it. Is it okay?
Yeah, we can see it. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much for your kind introduction. First place, I'd like to welcome everybody who's taking his time to be with us today and for your interest in collaborative innovation. This initiative, this webinar, is being organized by the Enrich project, as Thais told you a couple of minutes ago. Brafip is partnering with Enrich since last year, and we are working together to foster this kind of collaborative projects. I'll start telling you a little bit about Brafip itself, and then I will go into the details of our 2020 call for ideas. Brafip has already 10 years of history. Things started in 2011 when I was invited due to other international activities in the IT associations from Brazil to participate in the European Conference for Technology Platforms, which happened in Poznan in Poland that year. So there we were together with people from other Latin American countries, met people from most of the European Union and some other non-member states. And this work brought us into the session in the European Parliament at the end of that same year. At that time, I was the president of ALETI, the Ibero-American Federation of IT Associations. And at that session, the European Union decided that Latin American countries would also be included into the European innovation projects. So at that time, we started working to organize these initiatives called technology platforms, which in Europe are organized on a basis of interest subjects. But the first challenge we had is that due to the fact that this kind of organization did not exist in Latin America, there were no established groups to start this work. So the decision we made at that time was to build these technology platforms not on a basis of subject matters, but on a national basis. To this day, Brafip is the Brazilian initiative, and we have another 7 similar organizations covering other Latin American countries, as you can see on the slide, in Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Argentina, and Uruguay. So this is an important matter to remember, that Latin American platforms are national initiatives, while the European ones are across many countries and focused on a single subject. Various Brafip members have already some concrete experience in participating in projects fostered by the European Union. So this has been done now for many years. And Brafip has in some way differentiated itself from the other national platforms, because we started in about 5 years ago to transform Brafip into a formal initiative. Technology platforms in Europe are formed by volunteers, and there is no formal organization. In Brazil, however, government relations and other public initiatives need some kind of formalization. So we decided to do this, although it's a lot of work. We got this ready in November 2015, and we established then our strategic planning as an association focused on innovation. You can see here our mission. We are focused on how the technological industry can impact the various sectors of the economy, covering all regional competencies in the context of the triple helix. You'll see that in a couple of slides. And to promote research, development, and innovation in a collaborative way, both national and international. That's our mission statement. The triple helix is represented our stakeholders, government, business, and university participate at Brafip. Private sector members are associations from the IT area, from the telecom area, and various others. The academic sector is represented by the Brazilian Computing Association, which is similar to the ACM in the United States. Their members are professors and postgraduate students from universities covering computer science courses and similar courses. And government, due to the Brazilian legal restrictions, are participating as observers from the Science and Technology Ministry, from FINEP, which is responsible for funding, and other governmental organizations. Apart from the call for ideas, which will be going into detail just from the next slide onwards, Brafip is working very hardly this year to prepare the Brazilian strategic research and innovation agenda. Most European technology platforms have their strategic agendas focused on the subject matter they want to foster. As Brafip is a national platform, as I told you before, our challenge is much bigger. We have to produce not only a strategy for a specific sector, but we have to promote national initiatives. And in this way, we must include public policy proposals into this strategic agenda. And obviously, transforming this into something real is much harder than when you work for a single subject inside the technology platform. So this initiative will be presented on a webinar we are planning for September the 1st, and everybody will be invited to this also. Okay, that's the introduction. Let's now focus on our call for ideas. The call for ideas has been already run for 3 years, from starting 2017 to 2019. And the current call is now open. The final deadline is September the 8th. Our call is open, as you can see from the 3 images here, in 3 languages, Portuguese, Spanish, and English, in order to allow for international participation. And we will now explain how this works. The ideas submitted through this call are incorporated into our ideas portfolio, which is a formal document in order to foster networking and matchmaking for collaborative projects. At the same time, we annually select 10 to 15 ideas among all of those submitted, and give them the possibility to pitch at our annual event, which is called INCO Day, shorthand for International Cooperation Day. These ideas also get additional support from our international network of representatives and also from our American partners, which are some accelerators in the United States, in the Silicon Valley, and in Florida. So these events are already happening for a couple of years. We do these events each year in another city in Brazil. And INCO Day, International Cooperation Day, this year is planned to be held on December the 3rd in the city of Campina Grande in the state of Paraíba. You can see here on the map. Paraíba is located in northeastern Brazil, also the region of Brazil which is nearest to Europe. And Campina Grande is a technology cluster located about an hour and a half from the ocean or from the beach. Participation will be available in place if our current sanitary conditions allow for that. But independently of this momentary problem, online participation will be available also. So it's not a restriction to be physically present, to be able to participate and even to pitch. I did this in a couple of minutes. The idea submitting process is based over the internet. You can access the link which is here at the top of the slide. We'll provide this as a QR code in a couple of minutes. Let me explain you how the questionnaire is structured. We have the support of SurveyMonkey in order to collect the data, and the questionnaire is organized just in 5 steps or 5 screens. One is the introduction, which has a small text describing the same points I've already told you here about our initiatives. The second screen, you will have to describe who is proposing the idea, your organization, the profile of your organization. It's open to companies, whether they are providers of technology or want to have an idea to be solved by third parties, if it's a startup or if it's an academic or research center institution. The common question here is, may I present more than one idea? Yes, you can present as many ideas as you want to. The only thing we ask you, you will have to repeat for each idea this information about your organization. The second block of questions is focused on the idea itself. So here you'll have to define a name for your idea, describe the context where it will be applied, markets, technologies. You'll have to describe the innovation or research project that your idea will be able to foster. We require to describe the technological uncertainties or the risks the project has, because if there's no risk, obviously there's no innovation. And you can provide a couple of links to documentation, sites, videos, and so on, if you have them, to complete the description of your idea. The next block is focused on the stage or maturity of the idea. There's no prerequisite. Our call is a call for ideas, so it is allowable to submit something which is in a very preliminary stage, but at the same time, if your project is already running, you can submit it also. But we need to know in what stage your project currently is in. We want to know what kind of previous experience in research and innovation projects your organization has been part, and about your maturity regarding participation in collaborative projects if it's the case. Then we have some skills-related questions about previous experiences in specific initiatives, about the languages which your organization is able to conduct meetings, which is very important for international matchmaking. And the final block for the questionnaire is just the review of referrals, where your information about our call came from, and the formal authorizations needed to work with the data you are providing, and your allowance or not for making the information about your idea available just for internal use or among the organization of INCODE, or maybe you want it available openly on our website. So this is the process of registering ideas, and what I'll detail now is how these ideas are evaluated, because we get about some hundreds of submissions, and the first challenge is to select what we call the best ones, which can be very difficult and subjective if there's no defined process. So over the years, we have been refining this process, and I'll show you the current state of it. Our current evaluation is divided into two stages. The first stage, once the submission deadline is over, then we at Brafip, our team of volunteers, does an internal evaluation of all submissions, which I'll detail in a couple of slides. And as a result of this selection, then, as I told you before, we have the opportunity for the best projects to be presented at INCODE. And the second stage of evaluation is the responsibility of the event's participants. That is, each person being at the event, online or in place, will be part of the evaluation of the ideas presented as pitches. The internal evaluation, let me detail it before, is based on a Likert scale in order to avoid subjective opinions or bias. We have 7 different criteria which all work on the same model. We use a scale from 0, which would mean nothing, to 6, which would be extraordinary. And then we define just average, high, and low for each criteria, so that people know if it's something between average and high or between average and low. We have the values 2 and 4, and this gives us the possibility to have a very objective idea what we are requesting. This scale is applied to these 7 evaluation criteria I'm showing you here, and I'll now detail each of one in order for you to understand how the Likert scale can be applied to each of these. So what we did for each of these evaluation criteria is define, as I showed you here, what would be average, what would be high, what would be low for each of these 7 criteria. That's exactly the contents of the next 7 slides I'll be showing you. So for the innovation level or the degree of challenge the idea is presenting, our scale is this one. The average we are considering is products or services which have differentiating characteristics from their competitors, and this is a rather high level of standard average innovation. When there are obstacles to the emergence of competitors, this might be due to academic knowledge or patents or other strategies you are envisioning or developing to avoid competitors to enter the market with the same idea is our high level of innovation. And obviously the extraordinary innovation is what everybody calls disruptive innovation. In this way, our team can evaluate this in a very objective way. The second criteria we apply internally for reviewing the idea submitted is the potential for the formation of consortia. As we are focusing on collaborative innovation, it's very important for us that ideas presented have some kind of hooks where other partners can be integrated. So basically here the idea is the more partners you can involve into this idea, if these partners can come from different countries, then the idea will be evaluated with on a higher level. The third criteria is based on the economic outcome if your idea gets implemented. What's the economic impact through the creation of business alliances? So if your idea can be distributed over more business partners, then the impact of the idea will be greater than if it can only be brought to the market by a couple of companies or maybe even yourself. In case the idea has no detail about the commercial plan, that's no problem, but in that case, it will not be ranked on this criteria. The fourth criteria is the geographic coverage. In this case, it goes from market limited to the owner of the idea from his surroundings up to globally applicable ideas. The more geographic coverage, ideas get ranked higher. Average is an idea applicable in a single whole country, and high is on a whole continent. Another important aspect for evaluating ideas is the maturity of the target market. We know that each possible target market has different kinds of maturity in regards to digital transformation. So the main idea here is if you are focusing on a market where already a lot of digital transformation has been developed by a lot of companies, let's say like public transportation or voice over IP, in that case, the idea will be ranked as low in this criteria. If you are focusing on a market where almost no digital transformation has happened, then we'll consider it as a high-ranked idea in this case. That is, this criteria gets a higher rank for the idea if the target market has a lower digital transformation maturity. Then we have the business model for the idea to be considered. When submitting an idea, we consider average here that you have some proposal about how your idea will be brought to the market. And if this business model includes detailed processes, then we'll rank it high. If there's no precise elaboration, then we consider it a low developed business model. Okay, in this case, the maximum ranking is reserved for business model processes which include themselves innovations regarding the business model, independent of the innovations presented by the idea itself. And finally, we evaluate ideas submitted regards to how intellectual property about these ideas is handled. So we consider it average that the idea includes a clear approach to the management of the intellectual property across the organizations which are to collaborate across your development of the idea you are submitting. Okay, this is the seventh criteria, and we have an automated tool provided by one of our partners, in this case Startup Radar, which allows us that each of our evaluators, be it volunteers from our internal team or depending upon the number of submissions we get, we invite some external evaluators. And through this automated tool, each of these evaluators inputs his data. Each evaluation gets reviewed by 2 additional evaluators so that each idea submitted goes through the eyes of at least 3 people. And at the end of this process, our tool displays the ranking, presenting the average value for all criteria present. This average is a direct average. Each criteria has the same weight on the final ranking. This ranking is used so in order to define which of all the ideas we receive get invited to participate at Inco Day in order to pitch, in order to get evaluated by the public. This is the, as I told you earlier, the second stage of the evaluation process, and this public evaluation is a little simpler. The public is invited to evaluate each pitch presented in regards to just 4 criteria, which I'll be showing you now. And then I'll show you how the public does this in practice. These 4 criteria obviously will be explained during the beginning of Inco Day so that everybody participating has the knowledge necessary, but you will have this at first hand for this year. These 4 criteria are focused first on the environment, both external and internal, about the usage of existing knowledge, and about the pitch itself. These criteria are based on the same Likert scale as the previous ones. So the process is very similar and easy to understand for you who already are about the criteria was internally I showed you before. The first criteria the public evaluates is the development stage. So here it's the understanding of the public in regards to the level of development the idea has already been worked on. The second criteria refers to technologies involved. Obviously, the more advanced technologies are, the better, but high innovation in our criteria is defined as something that is part of a research project the same group has been developing or one of their partners. So this ranks as high level of advanced and innovative technology. The third criteria is the focused on the target market in the sense of what's the opinion of the public in regards to the size of this market, which defines the sales potential, and about the market trend. Is this market, the idea, focusing stable? Is it expanding, or is it already a market which is going down? This is the third criteria the public votes on. And the fourth and last one, the public votes on for each idea, is the quality of the pitch the idea submitter himself has provided. So what's the level of convincement the presentation of the idea at the Inco Day event has on the public. So these are the four criteria, and the voting process is done immediately after each pitch. So when the presenter of the idea at Inco Day finishes his speech, there are a couple of minutes for a couple of questions from the public to the pitcher, and then immediately we display on screen a QR code like this one. If you want to focus your mobile on this QR code, you will be able to access the questionnaire with the four criteria we just presented in the previous slides. At this moment, it's available in Portuguese only, but it will be include the English translations in the final version. So this way, those people sitting inside the physical location of the event and people participating remotely can vote, and the vote for each pitch will be open for just 2 minutes. That is the moment what the votes are opened for a specific idea. People will have 2 minutes to answer the four questions for the criteria we just detailed. This means obviously that among a day full of presentations, the number of people voting for each idea will vary, but this is already considered for. Okay, there's no possibility to vote in another moment of the day unless in these 2 minutes after the idea has been presented. And our support tool records these votes and automatically produces the results. And this is a based sample data, obviously. So at the end of the event, we'll display a screen like this one, and the ideas presented at the event will be ranked according to the criteria we have just presented, where people have voted for, and then we'll have the average evaluation for each of ideas, so to know how the pitches presented during the event effectively rank. So this is the essence of our process. And before opening for questions, if there are some, I'd want to, in first place, remember each one of you to submit your ideas. That this word is being presented in plural. Each one of you can submit as many ideas as you want to. On the left side, the image is the card we are using for distribution on social networks and so instant messages like WhatsApp, for example. The QR code presented here, you can focus on it. It will lead you directly to the questionnaire I described in detail at the beginning of the presentation, those 5 screens where you have to describe your idea. And if you prefer to, we have a short-handed link. This is bit.do, is a link shortening site where we have configured the Brafip call 2020 to be redirected to the SurveyMonkey address of the questionnaire. So the deadline for submission of ideas is September the 8th. And with this, I conclude my presentation and remain here at your disposal for eventual questions or going back into some of the slides to clear out some detail which you didn't get exactly due to our environment or speed of presentation or whatever. Thank you very much.
All right, Roberto, thank you very much. Your presentation was very clear, very interesting to learn more about Brafip and also this open call for research development and innovation ideas. We still haven't received any questions from the audience, but if you have any questions, you can write to us here in the platform and we can answer you. Just to confirm some ideas that you have already mentioned, Roberto, the deadline is 8th of September. So our attendees of this webinar, if they have an idea, they can submit into this date. And I have a question. Can they submit it in the 3 languages that you mentioned, being Portuguese, English, and Spanish?
Yes, the questionnaire is available in the 3 languages. We have 3 different links, one for each language. As you requested me to prepare this presentation in English, I included the English link, but the other 2 are already available. Not only the links, but the documentation, the description, and even the cards for disseminating the call through social networks are also available in the 3 languages.
Okay. And another question that they might have is, do you have a focal point of someone that could be answering the doubts that they might have when applying for the call? Or they can go ahead on the website and send their questions? How does it work?
Yes, we have a contact form on our website, and this is open for anyone having any doubts or contacting us in regards maybe to the call itself or to any other initiative conducted by Brafip. Our website is brafip.org.br.
Okay. We received a question from Isadora Vasconcelos. She says, Roberto, thank you for the presentation. Does a startup need to be regularly registered in order to send the idea?
Very good question. No, we don't require any formal organization from idea presenters. We have even received some people asking us about the participation of people who have not even established their startups. So this is open to everybody to participate, and we do not require any kind of formal documentation about the organization presenting the ideas.
Okay, so I think you mentioned also that it is important that the interested attendees that want to send their ideas, it's important to mention that they need to send their ideas and not already assembled or a project that already exists. Is that correct?
Yes, partially correct. Projects being under development and in need of partners in order to be concluded, maybe in a speedier way or in a better way, are welcome. What we do not wish to receive is the description of products which have been already completed and are already on the market. That's not our target. We are targeting, as I told you, that's our mission, innovative collaborational projects. So the idea, and that's one of the criteria I showed, has to have some hooks in order to build this cooperation. That's the main point. And the maturity level of the idea is in some way important, but it always has to have the possibility of working together with other organizations. Otherwise, it won't be collaborative.
Yes, exactly, for sure. Okay, we still have 15 minutes to finish our session, let's see if anyone else has any doubts about Brafip or also Enriching Brazil or something specific on the call. Just to mention again, we will be sending you all the presentations that we showed today and also the video for the session, which is being recorded, so you can also revisit this material. This will be sent to you by email. I don't think we have any more doubts. I think that means that you made a very clear presentation on the Brafip mission and also how to apply and how the evaluation process works for each idea. Do you have any final words, Roberto, that you want to share with the public?
Okay. First place, I'd like to be grateful again to you for the possibility of presenting our goals through the Enrich resources and to your partners. We hope that this allows us to have each, as has been happening over previous editions, each year, more and more people participating. And as you can see on our screen image, we are being supported by a lot of organizations. We are also using the same idea of collaborative development, not all we are requiring from idea presenters for our organization itself, and that's the spirit of the whole process. We are all working on a voluntary basis to foster this kind of initiatives, and so everybody is welcome to participate. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Roberto, for your availability and also for the partnership with Enriching Brazil, which is very interesting, as Brafip and Enriching Brazil share the same core business, which is to foster innovation and cooperative projects. So I think that's it. We can end our session, and I wish you all a good day. Thank you very much again. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to you.